And then we have set builder and interval notation. Interval notation is used in higher level math. It means the same thing as the inequality stuff, but it's a shorter way to write it. If you have the filled in dot, you're going to use a bracket. A bracket and the filled in dot means you're equal to that number. If you have the open circle or infinity, you're going to use a parenthesis. The open circle means you're not on that number exactly. And infinity you never can get to, so you use a parenthesis on it. So, first thing they're going to have us graph the set, x such that negative 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 0. So, the negative 2 is going to have a filled in dot because we have the equal to. The 0 has an open circle. The x is between those two things, so I'm shading between my two dots. In interval notation then, I went from negative 2 to 0. I'm just using my starting number and my ending number from left to right, and then the appropriate end mark. This had a filled in dot. I am equal to the negative 2, so I use a bracket. This had an open circle. I'm not equal to the 0. I use the parenthesis. And so this means the exact same thing this does, but it's a shorter way to write it. Number 17, then it says graph the set 1 is less than x, which is less than 7 on the number line. Write your set using interval notation. Again, the x is between my two numbers. I'm not equal to the 1, so I have an open circle. I'm not equal to the 7, I have an open circle. The x is between those two things. So in interval notation, my interval just goes from the 1 to the 7. I'm not equal to the 1, so what kind of end mark should I have? The parenthesis. And I'm not equal to the 7, so I also have a parenthesis. So on that one I have parentheses on both ends. Now what happens when I have a set that doesn't go between two numbers? It either goes to negative infinity or positive infinity depending on which direction you're going. This end of my graph is positive infinity. This end of my graph would be negative infinity. So I always go from left to right. So if it was a less than, I'd start here. If it's a greater than, I end over here. So in this case, x is greater than negative 1. Open circle on the negative 1. I'm doing everything greater than that. And so my interval from left to right starts at the negative 1 and goes to infinity. Negative 1 happened to have an open circle, so it's going to have parentheses. Infinity, always going to have parentheses because you can't really be on infinity. And so my interval goes from negative 1 to infinity. And just for fun, if I just write one up here, just so you have an example, if I would be doing x is less than or equal to negative 3 for fun, on negative 3 I'd have a filled in dot, and in this case I'm going this direction, and so my interval when I'm doing that less than or equal to is going to go from negative infinity to the negative 3 because I always go from left to right. This is going to have a parenthesis because I can't be on infinity. This end has a bracket because it does have that filled in dot. I am equal to that negative 3. So that would look something like that. And again, if you look at Alex's notes or my notes, there's going to be a little table with all the different ways it could be and all the different ways you might be writing your interval.